Hey guys, this is Clay Aiken here, showing a video of how I ward as a support player and hoping to teach others the importance of warding and how impactful warding can actually be in a League of Legends match. So what I'm going to cover in this video is key ideas to warding, so warding ideas that I have when I go out to ward, the early game from blue side and purple side perspective, next the mid and late game from blue side and purple side perspective, and lastly when to buy a side stone. So key ideas to warding. I generally like to have a few thoughts or ideas when I go out to ward, so it helps me understand why I'm warding out in the first place. I don't like it when someone tells me, hey, go ward this, and I say, okay, and I just go do it like a robot, and I don't actually understand why I'm warding out in the first place. So some ideas that I have behind warding is one, I like to control an area. So it's either maintaining or actually gaining control of an area, and I do this by warding out the outside perimeter of it. So let's say I want to gain control of Dragon Pit, and so my team can actually do it. So what I do is I ward the outside areas around Dragon, so I can see where the enemy champions are, and we can act accordingly and say, hey, there's no one near us, no enemy players near us, we can actually do this. Or say, hey, they're coming after us from this side, so we should run the other way around. Next is I like to always have an escape route when I go out to ward, and I feel like this is very important because a lot of support players tend to not think about this. They tend to just go out and ward and then cross their fingers whether or not they get cut out. And if they do get cut out, they just run from away from the enemy champion, hoping that someone might not cut them off. But I feel like it's very important to have an escape route because it helps you guarantee your escape. It won't. There's no way that someone can catch you by surprise because you actually lay down a safe path for you. You can say, "Hey, my allies are over here, so if I go out from there and I get caught out, I can just run back to them." And thirdly, I like to take calculated risk. So when I go out to ward, I say, how much of a risk is it to actually ward out, and how likely am I going to get caught out? So example of this is I see the enemy champion jungler in top lane, and then after he disappears, I think to myself, I have about a 30-second time period where I can actually ward out and still be safe and not get caught out by the enemy jungler because I just saw him top lane. So those are kind of like the calculated risk I take when I'm thinking about warding. Alright, next is the early game. And there are two parts to the early game. The first one is before minions and buffs spawn, and the second one is the laning phase. Alright, so first we're going to talk about before minions and buffs spawn. So that's around the 130 and the 155 minute mark. And the ideas I have behind warding this time period is I want to ward as early as possible, so the latest being 1 minute mark. And the reason why I want to do this is because I want to have my warding totem trinket up available when the enemy jungler wants to gank. So my calculation is the warding totem has a 120-second cooldown, which is about 2 minutes, which is exactly 2 minutes, sorry. And then the jungler finishes both buffs, and starts to first gank around the 3 minute mark. And I'm using these wards to cover entrance or invasion. So I'm just trying to look out to see whether the enemy team wants to invade and steal a buff so that we can act accordingly. And this is going to be a clip of just showing how I got that 3 minute mark for a jungler.
Alright, this is a clip of showing a typical jungle starting path from the purple side perspective. And what this is demonstrating is how a jungler usually starts his jungle path and trying to see how long it usually takes him to finish both buffs and when he wants to start ganking a lane. Alright, we're going to start here. And we're going to see bottom lane give a leash for Kha'Zix. And they give a decent leash. They don't give the best leash. So Kha'Zix is going to take a little bit longer to do it, but it's okay. And as you're going to see next is Kha'Zix doing one camp, either Wraith or Wolf. And the reason why a jungler would do one of these camps is because they want their smite to be back up by the time they do their next buff. So he just decided to do Wolf camp. And now his smite is going to be ready for the next buff. And as you can see down here, Warwick did a similar path. He did one buff, then he did Wraith camp, and now he's going to do Blue. The important thing here is to see what time Kha'Zix finishes this jungle path. So I'm going to pause it right when he finishes both minions. Alright, so as you can see here, Kha'Zix finishes around 308. So most junglers finish around this time. They could be faster or slower depending on how well of a leash bottom gave, or which champion it is. See, as you can see down here, Warwick is a little bit slower, but he finishes around the same time. So around the 3-minute mark is when a jungler usually has both buffs and are ready to gank a lane.
Alright, so before minions and buffs spawn from the blue side perspective. So right when the game starts, I like to go to two areas. So one is either I race the red buff entrance, which is right here, so I can meet up with the enemy champion and see whether they want to rush invade here. Or two, I like to ward this tri-brush right here near the bottom lane. So these are the two entrances I like to cover. And this is going to be a clip of showing the ideas I have when I go out and ward those two areas, and how I position myself and where I actually go out to ward. Alright, this is a demonstration of how to ward and position before minions and buffs spawn from the blue side perspective. My friend is playing Blitzcrank, and he will show the multiple ways the enemy team can invade, and I'll show the best defense against them. We'll be discussing two entrances. One will be the area near mid lane and the red buff entrance, and the next one will be the tri-brush near bot lane and dragon pit. But what we're gonna first do is we're gonna race to the middle of the map and see how long it takes to get there. And the reason why we're doing that is because I'm gonna this demonstrates the safest time to actually ward, like the earliest and the safest time. And what you guys need to notice is how long it takes for both of us to get there. Alright. So, oh my god. Made a mistake. Alright. Go on. So we're racing to this brush right here, and we're both going to ward it. The most important thing to notice is the time. You see how long it takes for me to get there. I kind of mess up on my buying, I'm buying items, but we should still be okay. So he should be there right about now. I was able to ward, and he's able to ward that brush as well. So we met around the same amount of time, and regardless of whether I ward this brush or not, the best place to guard this entrance is right here. And a lot of people make the mistake of sitting in this brush over here, which makes them more exposed to ganks. As Thresh showed, is I could be hooked over from the side from this dragon pit, but if I was sitting over there, he wouldn't have the opportunity to do that. And also, if I go in this brush, they can come from this entrance over here, and I have less time to react, and I only have one direction to go, which is downwards. So you guys go over here, go over here, go over here, over here. Alright, stop. Okay. And now they're going to invade, and then once I see them, I'm going to have to react immediately. And they're going to try to hook me. I can't see them right now, and they were able to hook me very easily. Now let's try it from the other position, which is over here. So you guys stop over here. Okay. I'm going to stand over here, and if I see them, I can just run this way. And I have a better chance of actually dodging the hook because I can actually see them, if that makes sense. See, just like that. Alright, now the other entrance we're going to be discussing is the tri-brush, because these are the only two entrances they can invade on red buff. Now, if I stand over here, a lot of people make mistake of standing right here. If I stand right here, I can be exposed to blitzcrank hooks or thresh hooks over there, which they'll be showing right now, or they can walk in here and invade me right here. So you guys can hook me right now from the dragon pit. There you go. See, just like that. If I were standing over here, which I feel like is the best thing to do, then I can just ward this brush, stand right here, and this is a lot better positioning because if I see someone invade, I can just run down here and say, hey team, they are invading, just like that. Alright. If I was standing in the brush, you guys come over here, and they're going to stand right here, and I'm not going to be able to see them. If I was standing right here and they invaded, guys go ahead and invade. One, he can just hook me out like that, and two, guys go back and try to invade. Alright, now go invade. Alright, if I see them, I have less time to react, and they can hook me very easily just like that, and it's very hard for me to dodge. But if I was standing over here, then they won't be able to see me, first of all, and I have more time to react. Alright guys,